And now I'll start the webinar. So you guys ready?
Yep.
Sure.
Well, welcome aboard, guys. I'm excited to have you guys here today. We are, Life's Co-Pilot is featuring Carrying Transitions today on how to help liquidate and move your seniors into, to a downsize or to whatever situation they may be coming up to. So today I've got John Beeker, who has the Carrying Transition franchise in Noblesville, Northern Hamilton. I'll let you explain all your territories. It covers a lot of space. I've got Joel Roadruck here, who he knows more about carrying transitions than most people on the planet. So we're going to have him kind of teach us a lot of stuff as well. So basically, I'm going to start this off. My name is Jim Morgan. I am with Carrying Transitions as well. But John, tell me about you. Tell me about your journey into Carrying Transitions. What made you decide to do this? What was your background? Tell me about you and your territory and what you're up to.
Well, as Jim has mentioned, I'm the owner of Carrying Transitions of the Noblesville, Westfield. We go all the way to Anderson, Cicero, and a lot of little communities that are in between those major cities. And I've come up on my 1-year anniversary of being a transition owner, March 1st, and have really enjoyed the transition that I have made as a longtime high school principal, where basically I took care and served and helped a lot of families get their kid graduated, and worked with a lot of people during that time. But I have enjoyed this new career move that I've made. Asked a few people about what it's like to be a franchise owner, did some research on Carrying Transitions, and all the reports came back positive as to why I should do this. And I've learned a lot in this first year, but basically, Jim, what drove me into Carrying Transitions is I just wanted to continue being in a service-oriented business, which is what this is. A lot of times high school principals retire and they sell books and class rings and all these different things. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to help people, and that is continuing on. And I have truly enjoyed not only helping people, but getting to know people. As you know, we meet a lot of interesting people as we work through moving seniors. So that's my short story, and looking forward to hear all you guys talk about your Carrying Transition stories.
Well, John, what territories do you cover? What areas is your franchise?
We got Westfield and Noblesville are our two staple cities. LaPel, Cicero, like I said earlier, we go all the way to Anderson. So pretty large territory. And I know I'm missing some of the smaller communities, but basically any community that's between Anderson and Westfield, we service.
Excellent. That's a pretty big territory.
Yeah.
So you put a little miles on your car running around doing that. So Joel, explain to us who you are and where you fit into the Carrying Transitions world.
Well, thanks a lot, Jim. I'm Joel Roadruck, and I'm at the home office for Carrying Transitions, and I am the CT Bids business coach. But I've been with the company since 2007, since basically we started Carrying Transitions, and it's just been a real privilege for me to be here during the growth. And Carrying Transitions really grew out of a need, or what we saw as a real need in communities. We had a franchise called Home Helpers, where we were helping people live, in their homes, age in place, which that industry grew like crazy. So actually, the founder of strategic franchising, Gary Green, started that concept back in 1996. He was one of the first, I think, to begin that kind of business. And as a result of seeing that people, eventually, after they've aged in place for as long as they can, they do need to move. And actually, there was some of the people here at the home office experienced the difficulty of having somebody move from their home that they've been in for 40, 50, 60 years and to move to a senior community. How difficult that is because something changed with families in recent years. And the big change is that um, uh, families are separated. The kids live in different states. They're not there to help out on these major life changes like they used to be, or because people were waiting longer to have children. You hear a lot about the sandwich generation, and so even if family members were close, they were taking care of children, and they just didn't have all the time to take care of helping a grandparent or a parent make this major move. And so, anyway, the whole idea for Caring Traditions came out of just a true realization that there was this big need for professional help to help people make this change. And so, that's really how Caring Traditions started, and we started, first offering professional estate sales, and then we added the senior moving because we realized it's so very difficult for somebody to move from a 3,000 square foot home to a 7, 8, 900 square foot apartment. It's really hard for them. So we came up with great ways to help families get through that with using 2-scale floor plans where we measure the items so we know ahead of time how things are going to fit. We came up with the idea of mirroring where we will take, if there's that wall of fame in the senior's home that they want to reproduce in their new home, we're going to do that. We're going to try to set up their new home so that they're going to be able to enjoy that new senior living experience as much as possible, as quickly as possible. And then, we're going to help liquidate items that in the house because what people need is they really need help getting their houses clear so that they can then sell their houses. And we really started a different idea, and that is our business is all about providing solutions for clients, and a solution that many of them need is they need the solution of having their house cleared so that it can be sold, so then those proceeds can be used to pay for senior housing, or if a loved one has passed on. Also, it's very hard for families to do this on their own. There's so many emotional, things about items in a house that it takes an average family or a family, over 10 months to clear through a home on their own. And the way the market is, it changes. And so really people are much smarter if they can get through this, that change much more quickly, which is what we can offer. So anyway, that's a little bit of the history about Caring Transitions in general. And then I'm currently, it's always been my passion to help people and to use technology. And so I've been a kind of a major force here behind our online auction platform, which is CT Bids. And so it has really kind of also changed how people are able to liquidate things. Many estate sales companies that are in the estate sale business will tell clients, gosh, you don't have enough for us to do an estate sale. And so what we've done with CT Bids is, and actually all of our services, we're about the solution once again. So we typically can help somebody no matter what they have to sell. We're going to help them get a solution. Maybe they just need their house cleaned out. Maybe they just need help with moving and packing. But maybe they have a few things that we can sell. Well, we'll be happy just to sell the few things. And so the online auction, and in particular our CT Bids, allows us to expand the number of people that we can serve. For example, there's many people that live in a situation where maybe they're in a gated community, they're in a condominium, where you cannot have the traditional tag sale, where you can't have 500 to 1,000 people show up over a weekend. It's just not allowed. Or maybe there's not enough parking, whatever. Or lots of people have a lot of items in storage lockers, and you just can't have a traditional estate sale there either. So what our online auction does, it really opens up the ability for us to serve a lot more clients, and also to it really provides something about privacy for clients. And a lot of people like the idea that we can sell their items, we can liquidate items for them, but the public never needs to know their address. So we don't share on our CT bid site, we never share the name or the actual street name is never shown in our site. You'll see the zip code in the city, but you won't see the actual address. And so people like the idea that there's this privacy. Plus, we can bring in uh, when we do have the winning bidders win, it's just a limited number of people, and we know who they are. We know their name, their address, their phone number, their email, so they're not strangers coming on the property, and we can schedule them to come to do the pickup. So if we have limited parking, we can schedule them. So if there's rules from a gated community, we can abide by those rules. So the whole idea of the online auction has really helped. Plus, it's just a great way to do business. People love shopping online. Ever since the pandemic, our business has really grown because people love shopping online. And what they also love is they love being able to get used things from their community, but safely. You hear a lot of stories when people try to sell things on their own through Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. There's many scammers out there. It's a very uncomfortable thing to meet somebody, with an item. You have cash. These are usually cash purchases. With us, everything can be done with a credit card online, and you're dealing with these franchisees. They are the cream of the crop. I mean, gosh, John, thank you so much for, being a principal and now, having this heart of service, the continued service. That's across all of our franchise owners. It's amazing. Our franchise owners have the biggest hearts, and they're all about serving their community. And this is a business that truly helps families through a very difficult time. And so what's great is that we have these wonderful local franchise owners across the United States, and they have to go through. Not anybody can do this business. They have to be background checked. They have to go through a lot of training, and there's a lot of standards that we have. They have to have W-2 workers' comp covered employees. That's a big deal. There's a lot of smaller businesses that they're not using, they're paying people cash, and there's risks involved, whereas we operate, our franchisees operate legally. They employ people properly. They use proper legal contracts with clients. So everything we do is on the up and up. So that's great for clients that we serve, but it's also great for those people that are looking for good used things. So we really are changing the market, and we're really the largest company doing this. There's nobody that's bigger than us. We have 273 locations, and then so many people own more than one because they really want to expand. So we have over probably about 240 active franchisees right now. Nobody is doing the business that we're doing right now. And it's serving a very unique need, and it's growing need. That's the other great thing too, is that we're seeing more and more growth in the number of locations that we're selling, as well as the number of shoppers that are shopping. We now have over 500,000 people that have registered on CT Bids alone, and so that's a pretty unique thing. And then, like this market here in Indianapolis, the great thing is that when they go to advertise a sale, they're not just advertising to the couple thousand people that maybe they have on their list. They can advertise to the group, and then in general, we when you have this platform where you have 500,000 people, when there are things that can be shipped, then more people are seeing the items. So one thing we learned very early on when we started the online auction program was that people were willing to drive a lot farther to pick up items that they've won. So what happened is that we expanded the buyer base. And so rather than in a traditional estate sale where you might get people driving, 20 minutes, half an hour, now you could potentially have things that you're shipping across the country. So there's some fun advantages. Now, the traditional estate sale is still very applicable in many cases where there's a tight turnaround, and you have plenty of parking, and that's what the client wants. We can still do those, but having the online auction is really great. And then all the services that we do, like this senior moving business, business is just wonderful. It really takes a bunch of pressure off of the seniors and their families. We get so many hugs. I bet you guys have both gotten hugs from seniors after you moved them in their home. And one of the things we love to hear from a senior is, why did I wait so long to make this move? You know, I'm so happy here. I don't have to worry about my gutters getting clogged or getting the grass mowed or who's going to clear my snow, you know, or even going to get groceries and things like that. And they find out they have a lot of friends and people that have similar life experiences once they make the move to a senior community, and they're just like always shocked once we move them and they walk into their new home. They're like, oh my gosh, this is my home. It's just a smaller version. You know, the fact that we could just handle all of the details for them is just such a wonderful thing. So anyway, I know I've gone on and on, but I'm so excited about what we do with Caring Transitions. I'm so excited about the quality of the owners that do this business. They're just the best people in the world. And we get so many, every day we're hearing from somebody who's had great service from one of our locations, and it's very touching. So it's great for me to be involved from the corporate headquarters to help people own this business and be successful in it, and then also to be offering such a wonderful service that really does help people. So anyway, Jim, you got more questions? I mean, I can keep going and going.
That's awesome. We'll get. I was going to say, you know, just kind of tell you about where we are. You know, John's talking about being in, you know, in Hamilton County and whatever. We are also in Hamilton County. We're in Fishers. For those watching this that are in Central Indiana, you'll know what I'm talking about. We do have a reach that goes significantly further than that. You may not know, but there's probably a Caring Transitions near you if you're someplace else. I know that, you know, some people that watch these videos are in the Seattle area. Well, I just went through a class with a brand new franchisee that's opening up in Seattle. So there's other ones out there as well. So, you know, this is applicable, you know, wherever you happen to be watching this video. So we have Fishers, Carmel, and Zionsville. A couple of the owners that were hoping were going to be here that couldn't make it today. They were actually out serving clients. One of them is Paul Ellsworth. He is on the west side, kind of the Lebanon down through Brownsburg in that area. And then Connie Brown, she is in the Broad Ripple, Meridian Kessler area down in the north side of Marion County. So as far as that goes, so we are all basically a team here. So we work together and help our clients, cross different borders there. So I got into this. I was the VP of sales for one of the largest real estate companies actually in the country. We had 14 offices and literally from one corner of the state to another. And that was my background. But I was the only sibling that stayed in state. So that meant that I downsized my in-laws, my parents, my uncle. I've been guardian, trustee, POA, and still am for my uncle and my mom that are, in different communities. So I've lived this as a consumer. Okay. And then, so I was, speaking, and when I found out when our umbrella company brought in a Caring Transition franchise, I was evangelizing it from across the hall, but oh my God, I would have killed to have known someone that did this. When we downsized my in-laws, they were an hour and a half north of us. We had to get, you're talking about the sandwich generation. We had kids in travel sports. We both had jobs. We were, they were an hour and a half north. We had to get them down here where we could look after them better. And it took us 18 months to get that house cleaned out and deal with all the stuff. I remember my very first moment of walking in. We were cleaning it out, right? We're in the process of doing it. I get there and I think it's going to be easy. I'm just going to grab there's one of those baskets beside the couch with all the old magazines and newspapers that have been sitting there for months, a year probably. And they can all be thrown away. And for some weird reason, it was kind of a God touch. I went through it. Okay. I have no idea why I did. I know now why I would. Okay. But I went through it and found the deed to the house in there. Okay, so what people don't understand is that you have to start thinking like, where is it hidden? Especially if they're coming from the Depression era, they hide money, they hide jewelry, they hide, whatever, maybe forgot that they'd even hid it, hide documents. So those are the things that I was so impressed with that Caring Transitions has trained to do. We just did a hoarder house. It was a situation that the family was in California. This gentleman was here that passed. And when we got there, we were just doing a clean out, but we were trying to do a clean out with caring, compassion involved with it too, looking past all the junk, trying to find family pictures, so we were able to put pictures in the son's hands. We also found pictures that we wanted to make sure he didn't see. Okay. We found his grandparents in a cabinet, okay, from their ashes. So we were able to get those to him. So, but yet at the same time, get a house that was, in a total wreck, set up to where they can start bringing a realtor in to do something with this and get to move on. So I understood that from my personal life, what this value is. And so that was an easy transition for me to come in to want to do that for others. So but that's kind of where that is, why I'm doing it, why we're involved with that. So, John, is there any stories that because what I think sometimes when people are watching this, today, or maybe watching this video down the road where it'll be out on a lot of different places, I think sometimes it's easier to understand what we do if you can just tell a story of a family that you helped, maybe some things. Do you have anything that you'd like to share on that? Or?
Well, one thing that I carry with me when I go meet with clients is a picture of my mom and dad. And 62 years, Joel, you mentioned it, 62 years in the same house and all that. And they were very nervous and very excited, a lot of emotions going on at age 86 as to where their next move is going to be. And so my brother and I went through the angst of seeing my parents go through this, but I've got a picture that I carry on my phone. 2 months into their new assisted living location, they both have smiles on their faces that we had not seen in a while. And I try to let people know that it starts out with nervousness and all the emotions that we go through, even if we would move, no matter what age. And the potential is smiles on your face when the transition is over. And so that's a little motivation for me, is knowing that we have a little vision of what is going to be the end result of this whole thing. My story is we dealt with a gentleman that had lived on Morse Lake for, I think, over 40 years. He had the best view of this lake, lived in a little trailer. His son lived in Michigan. And I know they always say that it's best to get, if you can, try to get the senior out of there when you're going through the move, but we let Wayne stay there. He was so funny and had stories of everything we were moving. And by the way, there are 3 ways we help get a house clean. We either try to sell it, which is always our first goal. We try to sell as much as we can. I get reminded of how much satisfaction people get of even donating certain things that don't sell. And the hardest part of the transition could be, throwing things away that have no value either to a sale or to a donation place. And I always tell everybody that we all could probably have a small dumpster on our driveway for a couple of days with the things that we have in our house. But that's always last in the process, throwing things away. But we sat there with Wayne and we watched him tell stories about some of the things we were getting ready to sell. And his 2 sons were there, Jim and Joel, and he had this boat, this pontoon boat in the back of this lake. And he said, "Are you going to try to sell that?" Well, the sons were like, "Dad, you can't sell that. That thing is old and this blah, blah, blah." And so I went down there, and it was in March, cold. I went down there to the boat. And my lesson I learned is you got to listen to the client. You got to listen to the senior, because he knew that boat was worth something. The sons and I both were like, we might as well just sink that boat to the bottom of Lake Morris and nobody would even probably notice it missing. Well, we put it on, we put it out for an auction, and we got $3,000 for his boat. It found a home. And that was a lesson that I always got to remember, is you never know on an online auction, you never know who is going to buy something and be interested in something. And that was my lesson. Wayne had a smile on his face. Brothers, of course, sold a boat that they thought was worth nothing. And I think we had a lot of win-win-wins in that little scenario. I shook Wayne's hand and off he went to an Ann Arbor assisted living. And he was my first client and one of my better clients, just because he made the whole process humorous, fun. He cried a little bit, and we saw all the emotions going on with a move. And that's really what we're all about, is seeing the people, the faces, and like you said, Joel, grandma and grandpa don't live across the street anymore. They live all over, and they're relying on Jim and I to take care of their mom or dad or grandma and grandpa. They're relying on us to do that. And we never should underestimate the role that we have in these transitions. So thanks, Jim, for asking.
Well, it's like with what I try to tell the clients and try to explain. I think carrying transition sometimes is a difficult explain, because a lot of people are not accustomed to anyone doing all the things that we do. So it's kind of like, people call us up, they want an estate sale, they want an online auction, they want a clean out, but they don't have any idea of the scope of things that we do, and so I always try to say that, we're very solutions based. I like to sit down with you and I go, I really can't even tell you what I recommend until I've sat down with you. I've had eyes on the circumstances. I've had a chance to interview you and find out what's important to you, what kind of timelines are important, what, what your goals and stuff are as a family, because I can tailor this completely different for each family to accomplish what their goals are. But I go, it's everything from, if you want to look at it as a smorgasbord or a 7-course meal, we'll come in and do a sort and organize. We'll do a declutter. We'll do a pack and a move, and then we'll do an unpack and a resettle in the other house. We'll, so it's like a reveal, like on those TV shows. We'll do, liquidation through an estate sale, through online auction, through a donation run, through to cleaning out, just to refuse, whatever is needed. And we do moves as small as someone moving from the assisted living wing to the memory care wing. We do moves across the country. I'm working with one right now coming in from South Carolina, was measuring her new apartment so we could have things set up properly there. I'm working with a Carrying Transitions in South Carolina that's going to pack them according to my measurements, is really what was coming up. We just did one where we moved a lady in from LA because she wanted to be near her daughter, and then she found out that her daughter she couldn't get a chance to see her as much, and so she missed her friends back in LA, so we just packed her and moved her back to LA. So it's kind of like, whatever someone needs is kind of where it comes down. And it's with my own experiences of downsizing my own family. I remember with my parents, they lived in the same farmhouse, and they had a 52 by 70 barn. And in the corner of the barn, Dad had bought a U-Haul box truck that he put the good stuff in. Okay. And my son and I would go up there. We had 60 days from the time we sold it to get it cleaned out. Fortunately, the investor gave us 60 days. The first 3 days, we walked through every room, touched everything, looked at stuff. We were so overwhelmed, we couldn't figure out where to start. And we would always end up on the back porch drinking a bourbon and smoking a cigar, watching the sunset. That place had great sunsets, but a farm. But on day 4, we decided we have to start here and get this thing done. And it took us every day of those 60 days to get that done. My in-laws, like I said, it took us 18 months. My uncle, I learned another lesson. When we moved him, and this is all before I got into the senior world, but it was, other than as a consumer and as dealing with family members, I knew that that senior move can be one of the most traumatic things for them. They say it's more traumatic emotionally than a death in the immediate family. I had some idea that it was traumatic just from dealing with my other family members. I didn't realize in his case, I didn't see it as a move. We were moving it from an upstairs apartment to a downstairs apartment in the same building on the same end of the building. He got to park in the same parking lot. You know, he had the same neighbors. To me, it was not a move. It was new carpet and new appliances, and it's all good, right? So when I was doing it, we didn't get it all buttoned up and all the pictures hung and all that kind of stuff because my wife is the head makeup artist at one of the largest scream parks around. So in the fall, I never see her. So I was going to have her come in when she got done in November. We were going to doll the place up. And it was very livable, but it wasn't done. And to me, I didn't see it as an issue. It became a big issue because he went through a major depression, ended up in, you know, some really dark spaces, could have lost him through this. I mean, it was very nip and tuck. When we went to move him again, when the clinic basically said, okay, if he gets into a senior living where he has more social, more structure. So we moved him in. This time we did everything the way Caring Transition would have taught us. I still hadn't heard of Caring Transitions, but we did it right. We actually had put the room together, had every picture hung. We labeled all the cabinets and went, you know, light switches and everything was done. So we had this reveal, and he's been this major success story. He's the president of the garden club. He's on the council. He's one of the welcoming greeter ambassadors there. So we had set him up for failure the first time, not having a clue. And then we set him up for success doing it right. And I watch so many families that will argue that don't want that part of our service because they're going to do it themselves, but they don't. And I do try to caution them from my own experience. Take this seriously. Don't just shove mom into this new apartment or, dad in this new apartment without really thinking about how to make it as low emotional jarring as possible and as exciting as possible, because it is serious. It's not something they're not 20 making that move. So it's a different situation.
Joel, I think your comment earlier, Joel, about we are a unique company based on people, and in my experience with from headquarters to fellow owners, that I do think the difference that from Caring Transitions and other places are we do bring the personal touch. I heard that on the first day of being trained. I continue to hear it and see it through our corporate office and through owners. And I know sometimes when you tell people that don't know you, it's hard to tell people we are a personal touch company. But I think as long as that continues to be a focus and a model and an emphasis, they won't see it on the consultation, but they definitely will see it 2 weeks later when we're walking out of the house. And that's what drew me to Caring Transitions, and that what continues me to believe in what we're doing. And both of you guys have said it. We have plans in place. We have a lot of things we can offer to families, but we spend a lot of time listening to the plan the family wants us to do. I think that's another difference, is we make it work for them. We don't make it work for them. We make the family plan work for them, and we go from there. So anyway.
That's really great, because it warms my heart to hear you guys reiterate, because one of the things we emphasize in our training is when we go into a consultation with a client, what do we want to find out? We want to find out what is the client's objective, and that's the key thing that we're trying to do with this business. And it can change. Maybe their first objective is just to get mom moved. So we don't want to rush and talk about having a sale when all we're going to focus on today is getting mom moved. And that's really important. And so, we don't have, we're not an estate sale company. We are a solutions company. So you both have said it. And I think that's really wonderful that you guys are, that is our that's our DNA, is that we want to listen, and we want to do what the client's objective is. We also, it's interesting to note too that is that because we're in a business of helping seniors, and I spend a lot of time in the field, and I get to spend time around your employees. And what I see is that we are able to attract some very caring, many times highly educated employees who maybe actually, I would say probably one of the largest employee groups that we have are retired teachers, because they retire in their 50s and maybe early 60s, and they still want to give back. And so we get a lot of people who are retired that want to help and give back, or maybe they've also experienced a loved one needing to move. We get a lot of retired military. We get a lot of retired um, firemen, those kind of people that, and we get a lot of, parents, whether it's mom or dad, stay-at-home mom or dads that, want to work from 10 in the morning until 2. We get a lot of those kind of people too that want to do something to give back to the community. Actually, one of our tactics for looking for employees, we look at, we have an ad that says we're looking for paid volunteers. So we're looking for people that like to do volunteer work. And then we well, this is the work we're doing helping seniors. Would you like to join us? And it's amazing, that kind of caring person that we get. So not only do we have wonderful caring owners like the two of you, but we tend to have a lot of really kind-hearted, caring employees that work for our owners that really want to help and give back. So that's been a really nice thing about our company culture, is that we're not just hiring people that need a job. We're hiring people that truly want to help in the delivery of the service that we provide. Something else I think that I think, Jim, you just said such a great thing, and we really try our very best. Something else that's about this business is that we really do try to do our best when people have things. We know the thing about those things are they many times have an emotional value to people. They've been in the home for 40 years. And so it really is one of the things that we try to do is we really try to find new homes for those things. And so that's really important, that we're really, helping people that might be going through a difficult time, who need to, they can't afford to go to and buy something new, or they want to repurpose something and create some art with something and improve upon something that it's a solid wood, nice piece of furniture, and they want to make it more appealing. So we have people that are doing that kind of work, but we do a good job, I think, of finding new homes for utilitarian things. And I think one of the struggles we have is that sometimes the things that people have in their home that they value a lot, the general market doesn't. So I know right now there's a glut of big brown furniture in that we're clearing out of people's homes that they bought back in the 60s and 70s, and so some of that the value may not be what the person who owns it. However, I think we do a very good job of finding new homes for those things, no matter what we can sell them for. And so, but it's also interesting that you find within every home things that nobody thought had value. So your story of the boat, John, is very interesting, because sometimes people think that certain things have value, but then they don't realize that these other things that they didn't think had a value have all kinds of value. And that's another
Mhm.
fun thing about this business, is that we do tend to help people uncover their treasures. And so, when we liquidate everything in a home, it's interesting to find out where the value can come from. Sometimes you are able to sell things for what people had hoped. Sometimes they're disappointed at what something might sell for, but we do a good job of getting the market to give us the best price that we can. But we definitely are finding new homes for those things. So I think that's a really important part of what we're trying to do. We're really trying to keep things out of, we don't want to throw things away, right? We want to keep things out of the landfills, right? I think it's just another nice thing that we're trying to do is many people are so great about taking care of their things, and they have many nice things that they've accumulated, but they just can't take them with them. They can't take them all with them. And what we hear from a lot of families is the family says, the kids say, I don't need your stuff, mom and dad. I already have my house full, and we have a different style, and so and maybe that's different than maybe how things used to be too. I think maybe people were used to passing things down, and maybe because of the distances, it doesn't make sense to do that as much as it used to. But I think we do a really good job of finding new homes for these things, and I think people can feel good about the fact that their things are now being loved by somebody else. And I think that's a really important part of the services that we provide. Something else too, Jim. For a lot of our clients. There really is a time value. There's money, there's a cost to time. So when a family has to take 18 months to clear through a home, sometimes that mortgage is still having to be paid, or certainly the property taxes, or heating and cooling, home maintenance, home insurance, and actually insurance costs go up when a home is empty, right? Because there are additional risks. And so sometimes families can make a bad financial decision to do it on their own. They're spending all their weekends, they're spending all of this extra time that they don't have, they're spending all this emotional energy, and they're taking all this extra time. And if you add up all of the time that it took and all the money that they had to pay for the insurance and the real estate taxes, all those things, you would wow, if we would have used a professional company like Karen Transitions, we're going to get it done in a matter of a couple of weeks many times, or less, depending on what the objective is, and what we're trying to accomplish. But we can get things done so much quicker because we're bringing in a team of people that are professionals, and they've been trained in how to go things. And Jim, like you said, finding the deed, we're going to be on the lookout for those kinds of valuable documents, whereas a family might not. I've been out on field visits before where a family was starting the downsizing process before we got there, and they would get rid of things that had value.
Oh,
you know
yes.
and it's like, no, don't take anything else. Don't take that next load to Goodwill, because that iron furniture that you think looks bad, it can just be repainted. It has really good value. Or you just got rid of the Pyrex bowls, the
Yeah.
quintessential red, green, yellow, blue bowls. You got rid of that, but you saved the china. Wait a minute, those four bowls may be worth as much as the china. Anyway, it's funny, people don't, because they're not in the business all the time, they may not recognize, what the value is. So that's another service that we provide in helping uncover those treasures. So
I
this has
was,
been
I
a
was
great.
just gonna, I was just getting ready to talk about that. If I had one little thing that I could just tell people, please, bring me in, if nothing else, to give you advice before, I'll come in and just take a look before you start spending all your time cleaning out the house. Because so many times I'll come into a house and everything's cleaned out of it except for the things they thought had value. The dining room table, the china hutch, the thing, and I'm going, and the piano, I'm going, we can help you get rid of those. But the stuff you took to Goodwill is where the value is. That's, you took the Fiesta ware, but anyway, those kind of things. You took the vinyl records, whatever, to Goodwill. Yeah, if just I'll be more than happy to just come in and spend a couple of minutes, go, this looks good. This, these are the things you want to, where the value is. I'm more than happy to do that. But yeah, but it's not uncommon at all to come in and just find those pieces that are really hard to move now, because they were 20 years ago, 30 years ago, the things that had value, so. But it is, you're right. It's so many different things we could, if I could just get in front of people early in the process, we could save them a lot of effort, as well, So I can't believe these things always go really quickly. Joel, I would like you, because we I don't know who all's watching right now, but we have CT Bids, and CT Bids is really two things. it is a platform to help people that are getting rid of their stuff to sell their stuff, to do the liquidation, to find homes for that Fiesta wear or whatever it is. But it's also for people who are trying to find those treasures, and so you were so integral in putting CT Bids platform together. Could you kind of give some tips for both sides of that, the client that needs to liquidate and the customers that are looking for the bargains?
Sure. I mean, so we have been we've got partners that we work with, and so all of our franchisees, have an account with estatesales.net, and they're aggregators of everybody who's doing estate sales. And so anybody who wants to find any of our sales can go to estatesales.net, and they can look for Karen Transitions, and they can just sign up to be notified when sales happen, because every time we post a sale, it's going to be there. Or you can just always go to CT Bids, and then you can sign up for a favorite location, and then if you bid on a location, you're going to then get notified about additional sales. So if you see a location, if you place a couple of bids, you're going to get on that location's list for future sales. So it's really great for people to know that this is a place where they can find all kinds of treasures. And so the thing about our online auction platform that may be different than a lot of other places is that truly what we're doing is we're typically liquidating all the things in someone's estate. So that means everything has to be sold, and typically in most situations we actually start things at $1 and we don't have reserves. We've learned over the years that really is the best for everybody. It's good for people. If you're looking for a bargain, you're going to probably find a bargain, because you can start bidding on something, and if you're the only person who bids on an item, you could win for $1. However, there likely is that there'll be somebody else that sees value in the item, and so we get a fair market value price for things that we sell. But there's some things that we've designed into our system to help everyone. And one is, if you go to a CT Bid sale and you open up any estate sale and you click on an item, whether you're on a mobile device or if you're on a PC, you have the ability to enlarge the photo. You can pinch it, open up, and what we have done is we have high resolution photos. And so we want to make sure that if there's a flaw, it's shown. We really train our franchisees that you really want to show all the features, but also if there's a flaw, you want to show that so that there's no surprise when you end up picking up that item. And so the other thing we also recommend is a lot of pictures. We want at least 10. When you buy things on Amazon, you might see 1 or 2 pictures, and that's because they're brand new. But when we sell things from somebody's home, it has had some use, right? So we want to make sure that we encourage our sellers to show all sides. We want to show the bottom. We want to show the maker's mark. We want to show, what's the construction like, and we want them to say, is this solid wood or is it press board? We want them to be very sure about or disclose everything about the item. So you as a buyer, when you get on there, you're going to have really good photos in general, and you have a good description as to what the item is. So I think we've done a really good job with that. We actually have an integrated selling app that our sellers use. It's that helps them create really good listings very quickly, which is good for the clients because we're very efficient in how we present these things for sale, so that we can offer many things up for sale in an efficient manner. So when you're on the site, there's some really fun things when you sign up, and we do have to be pretty stringent about people that sign up. When you sign up, there's security things. You're going to have to verify your phone number. You're going to have to verify your email address, and you'll be putting in a credit card. And the reason for that is it's all about security. That's security for our sellers, security for the clients that they're representing, but it makes it convenient for you when you go to purchase items. And so it's all about saving the time for our sellers and their clients, and also about saving times for people that are bidding. So for example, you can go in on a sale And we have a really nice feature on the site as a bidder where you can just say, well, I'm interested in this item. I don't want to bid on it yet, but I want to watch it. So you can click to watch. Well, then you have a watching tab that you can come back to later after you've gone through a sale. You don't have to go back through the whole sale and figure out what it is you like again, but you can look at your items now in your watching tab. So you can come back maybe later and bid later. Or once you do start bidding, it's real easy from your bidding tab to see, well, which items am I winning? Which items am I not winning? So we try to make it real easy for you to keep track of those. And then we'll do some things such as you have notifications. If you'd like to have your notifications on and you're bidding on something, do you think it would be nice that if we told you when you got outbid? Yeah, so we will send you an email and a text to let you know when you've been outbid, so that if you'd like to bid more, you can. And our site does something it's called proxy bidding, and a lot of sites do this. So if you see something, you go, oh, I like this. The most I want to spend is $100. Then you can put in $100, and nobody bids against you. You may win it for $1. But if somebody else puts in a $10 bid, well, the site will automatically place a proxy. It's like going to a live auction with a friend. And so what it'll do when somebody bids 10, then you'll automatically get a bid placed for $11. Nobody bids against you again, you'll win it for 11, even though you would have been willing to pay 100. So the site is a very fair site. We really want bidders to be treated fairly in everything we do. We also do something that's different than some sites, and we think it's another fair way of operating. Like I said, we've been doing this since 2009 with our online auctions, and that is, let's say that there's two bidders bidding, and the item's going to end at 7 o'clock. Well, and somebody comes in and they put in a bid at 6:59. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to add an additional 3 minutes so that if the person that got outbid has time to get a notification that they're outbid, so if they'd like to bid again, they can. So I know there are some sites like eBay that have a fixed ending time, and I don't know if you're like me, but I hate it when I want something and I'm bid on it, and then somebody is just able to get their bid in a second before it closes. So we don't think that's we don't like that. So our site will add more time to make sure that we allow for items to receive bids. It's like an auctioneer going, are there any more bids? Are there any more bids? And so our items will not close on our auction site until there's been a period of 3 minutes go by without a new bid. And we think that's very fair.
It's much more fair because there are bots, or there are programs that a lot of bidders will use, like on an eBay or whatever, that is actually designed to get that very last second bid in to that, so that you could beat people. Well, this keeps somebody from a bot beating them.
Right. And so, some people will say, gee, Joel, that really helps out your client and your franchisee by getting the highest price. But I always would argue, and I say, no, it helps out the bidder. And because I know I would have paid more for that, right? So it allows me to have the time. If I would like to place a bid, it allows me the time to do so. And so we just think it's a really fair. It takes more computing power on our part, as also when we send you an outbid text, we're paying the cost of that text. You think texts are free? No, they're not. We spend thousands of dollars a month sending these outbid texts to people to make sure that they know that they've been outbid, because we want everybody to be treated fairly. So there's things that we've designed into our system to make sure that people are treated fairly. It's funny, we have ethical things built in. I just had one of my new franchisees send me a question recently, said, hey, Joel, I realized that I'm not able to remove a picture from a listing once I have a bid on it. And I'm like, well, that's right, you're not, because we feel it would be unethical to have had a picture that somebody bid on. Maybe they based their bid upon that picture. Maybe there was a jewelry box on the couch, but maybe that was an error. But if they bid based upon that picture, it would be wrong for us to just remove that picture. So, we can retract all the bids and say, hey, we're retracting these bids because we have a mistake on one of our pictures. We're going to remove that, now rebid. That's okay. So anyway, it's interesting. Everything we do is based upon treating everybody ethically and fairly. And so I think we've really we've built that into our culture in everything that we do, and the online auction site really displays that culture. And sometimes we get people who've only experienced eBay, they get mad and they say, well, it's not fair that you added time. Well, we tell you about this every, in so many ways. Every bid confirmation, we tell you that we add extra time. We actually even tell you, how to be a savvy bidder. We tell you, don't bid in whole dollars. Don't think that you can only put in 10 or 11, 12. No, put in $12.03. We'll tell you that that's a better way to bid, so that you can avoid a tie, or that you might be able to win by a smaller margin if you add a few odd cents. We tell you how to be a savvy bidder. So anyway, I think everything that we do with our auction site is a outward manifestation of the ethics that we hold throughout the company, and caring for seniors and caring for the people that we treat. We want to treat our bidders and our bidding customers just as fairly as we do a client. And you know why that is? Because that person who's bidding on a sale, they have a loved one who's a senior, or maybe they're the senior themselves. They're going to be a future client of ours. And so that's our goal, is we want to treat everybody fairly in all of our interactions, so that they can get a good deal on used things, but then our client is also able to have their used things loved by somebody else, but then that everybody is happy. And I would say for the most part of what we do, the client is happy. We're able to move them, and we're able to sell some of their possessions to help them finance that move. Sometimes, and the stuff in your house is typically not where your wealth is. The house is where your wealth is. So we really help counsel our clients many times. It's like, well, really, the market on these is really hot for real estate, and your mortgage is paid off, and it's good today. It could change 6 months from now, but today is good. Let us help you get this house empty so you can sell it. And let's, and that's another thing that we do. We're good about meeting that deadline. And it's just another thing we train our franchisees. We will tell franchisees, you got to help the client with their goals. Sometimes it's hard for them to sort out the goal. Is the goal the timeline and having the house empty, in 30 days, or is the goal to get as much as you can for every single thing in the house? That's a different goal. And, that might be a different solution than what we offer. Maybe they just need to take things to consignment places, or be their own seller, open up their own eBay or Facebook marketplace store. So it just depends on what they're looking for. But I think the bottom line is that we really try hard to offer solutions in an ethical way for our clients and for those people that bid from us. So what other questions did you have, Jim?
Well, I was going to say, there's one thing I wanted to mention real quick that I just was thinking earlier. You were talking about, families being out of town, difficult for them to help move mom and dad or what have you. There's one of the things I've talked to a client, potential, I'll be in there and mom or dad that's getting ready to move goes, oh, my kids are going to move me. They're going to do this or whatever. Well, their kids might be 50 or 60.
Right. Yeah.
So first of all, do the kids really need to be carrying sofas and stuff upstairs or whatever, No, they do not. And I try to explain to them, I go, moves with pizza and beer end in the 20s. Okay. I go, you need to start looking at what's their lost labor time if they're taking time off work to try to do this. You need to look at what happens if they get hurt, and then are off work or dealing with that. Those are all considerations. Because I know when I was doing stuff from my family, I really had no business carrying stuff up and downstairs, but I was doing it, but those are things that people don't think of a lot of times, in that whole process. Offload it. You actually will save time and money, in the process. So, well, guys, it's 1 o'clock, so it is our time. But thank you so much for coming, Joel. I really appreciate it. John,
Sure.
Do you have anything you want to say before we get off of here? Or you're muted. I can't hear you, John. Huh. It doesn't say you're muted, but you apparently are. All right. All right. Well, I will see you guys later. Thank you very much for coming. Anybody that was here watching the program, if you have questions, you can always reach out to us. This video will be on Life's Copilot. It will be on Life's Copilot Facebook page. I'm going to put on our Carrying Transition Facebook page as well. And I'll get one to both of you gentlemen as well. So thank you very much for being part of this.
Thank you, Jim. Take care.
See you later. Bye-bye.